And aloha, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the COVID care conversation here on the Facebook page of the Honolulu Star Advertiser. Good morning, I'm Yanji Denise, and we've got a very special guest today.
That's right. I'm Ryan Kalesuji. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Today we have the Director of Labor and Industrial Relations, Scott Murakami, is going to be joining with us here live on Facebook in a few minutes. So if you have any specific questions about filing for unemployment, we encourage you to enter that into the comments. We'll get to as many as we can. We know that there's a lot of people with a lot of questions, and we want to talk directly to the director himself. And he will be coming up again in just a little bit. Again, we want to encourage all of you to like this post and share this video so that we can reach as many people as possible. This is an opportunity for you to engage in this conversation.
Yeah, this conversation is brought to you by the Hawaii Executive Collaborative. That's a consortium of Hawaii business and civic leaders working to make Hawaii a better place. And we need efforts like that right now because we are in a pretty tough situation. So many people have lost their jobs. We're going to talk all about those unemployment numbers and talk about how you can get the benefits that you are entitled to. Before we get there, of course, we start every morning talking about the latest count of positive cases here in Hawaii.
29 new cases added yesterday, the state reporting. So a total of 204 cases now throughout the state. Again, 6 of them are in ICU, 2 of them on life support on ventilators. And we are seeing, of course, an influx, obviously, here on Oahu with the largest count, but neighbor islands as well starting to pick up. So that is why law enforcement and state officials continuing to press the stay-at-home order in order to minimize the overall spread. Another significant number has been the unemployment number could potentially soar, some reports saying and experts saying, to 25% by the end of the year. And to talk more about unemployment here in the state of Hawaii, we have Director Murakami joining us live here on Facebook to share a little bit more about the state's efforts and what's happening here. Good morning, Scott. Thank you for joining us. First of all, if you want to provide an update right now as to some of the things that your department is currently working on.
Sure. Maybe I'll start with some initial filing data. So in February, for the month of February, we had reported 17,850 official claims for unemployment insurance support. For the period of March 1st through March 28th, we took in 116,916 initial filings. So you can see just how dramatic the increase. So if you take that at the end of March for the total of February and March, we're talking about 130,766 claims and filings. So it's really significant. There are a number of things that we did. Going back a couple of weeks, we did realize some system degradation on Wednesday, March 18th. But the reason that happened is that our UI system is an old system. It was built probably a little over 10 years ago, and it's never had been stressed to this extent before. The system is a mainframe system, and the strength of the mainframe is it allows us to process data a lot more effectively. But with the number of calls we were taking, at one point it was up to 3 million calls an hour. That was what was slowing down the server, and that's what resulted in the degradation that we saw on the 18th. So since then, we've set up a new web form, and what the web form allows us to do is aggregate the filing and then process it and ingest it into the mainframe in a more scheduled time. That allows the mainframe to do what it's supposed to be doing, just processing data as opposed to answering calls. So at this point, we've also let's see, I believe it was on Monday the 20th at 10 o'clock. 23rd, excuse me, at 10 o'clock, we did launch a call center within DLIR. That was to address 2 things. The first was to answer questions, appointments for people who needed to file file via the phone. The second one was for technical support and to answer questions on and help our claimants with resetting their password. So those are the things that we've done to ensure that we can at least receive the filings and utilize the resources that we have, the technology we have, to its most efficient and effective capabilities.
We've got questions coming in. One from Sarah Denton this morning says, how many have been processed and how many people have been paid? And beyond that, once you do file your claim, how long does it take for you to actually start to receive benefits?
So the standard that we have to perform in is 20 days. So uh, we make payment within that 21-day period. Well, let me put it this way: in February, um, the, we're our 21-day window, we are hitting it 85% of the time. But at this point, what I'm telling people is, back in February, we're seeing about 100 claims a day. Now we're seeing filings that get into tens of thousands. So please understand that uh, that I can't promise anything, and I don't want to make promises to people that we can't keep. But we are still shooting for that 21-day window, and that's from the initial filing of the claim.
Erica Engel has a question, Ryan, if you want to put that one up. Are any labor laws, wage and hour division type of rules being waived as a result of any orders or proclamations?
So not specific to wage and hour, but here's what we did for the unemployment insurance side. We have waived the three job search. That's one thing that was waived. The other thing that we waived is the 1 week waiting period. So and the third thing that we waived was the registration on HireNet. So the job posting requirements, those things have been waived so that our claimants can really focus on, staying in place, sheltering in place, or staying at home, and um, focus on caring for their family and their loved ones.
So we know that, again, to reiterate, you do not have to be filing, three potential job opportunities that you're seeking. So that has been waived. The other question that people are asking is, maybe they weren't necessarily laid off completely, but they've seen a reduction in salary or a reduction in hours. Does that still qualify? I guess some people are asking for overall unemployment, and what sort of benefits do they receive for any reduction in pay or hours?
Sure. Yes. Individuals who have experienced that should file for unemployment insurance because we can do a partial claim. They may be entitled to partial support for the income that they've lost. The other question that we receive quite often is, my employer wants to pay my healthcare coverage, and in receiving that benefit, does that in any way negate my ability to claim unemployment insurance? And it does not. The benefit package is completely separate. The question is, if you've lost pay, it can be for a job loss or any other reason. You should file for unemployment insurance support.
Can we talk about how much the benefit actually is and how long we expect it to last? I know that there will be this federal payout, but separate from that, how much is the minimum and maximum that folks can receive, and for how long?
So the weekly benefit, the maximum amount right now is $648 a week. Prior to March 1st, our average weekly benefit that we were paying was $515 a week. With the new federal CARES Act, what we're going to see is for the period of January 27th to July 31st, recipients will be able to get an additional $600 per week. So if you look at it from the maximum benefit side, it's $1,248, and on average, we would be paying about $1,115. Um, Typically, the benefit lasts for about 26 weeks, or will last for 26 weeks. But under the CARES Act, that's been expanded an additional 13 weeks, so it'll go out to 39 weeks.
Paul's got a great question here. Paul Klink saying, what about gig workers, sole proprietors, and others who are off to the side? Can they apply and get unemployment? They've got all kinds of accounting. He calls it willy-nilly accounting, and only have taken to draw to survive on the existing business. He's getting a lot of this question from his friends. So we're talking about those folks who typically file a 1099,
Right.
Uber driver, gig workers.
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul. Thank you. For 1099 workers, gig workers, you should file because under the CARES Act, it's brought in the definition of people who are covered under unemployment insurance. So a 1099 worker would be covered. So please go ahead and file.
And beyond that, if you are a 1099 worker, you file. How do you prove that you don't have that income coming in?
So That's a great question. Unfortunately, we're still working with the U.S. Department of Labor. They haven't given us full guidance on it, and I can tell you, for us to qualify for the CARES Act, we had to do two things. One is we had to waive the 1 week waiting period, which the governor did in his first proclamation. The second thing is we had to, in very short time, just turn around a memo of understanding, an agreement with the U.S. Department of Labor. So we've done all the things necessary to qualify. So now we're working with the Department of Labor on what is the specific guidance to give us. And the reason that's important is because this is unemployment insurance is a fully federally funded program, a supported program, I should say, but it's funded through, of course, state taxes on employers. The challenge is that we do have conformity issues with the requirements that come out with the from the U.S. Department of Labor. The reason that's important that we abide by that is because it could threaten the federal match that we get for supporting the program through the FUTA tax. So that's why, although we'd like to speed these things up, and we want to make sure that we have an idea of how we would address it, we have to make sure we do it in compliance with the federal government.
Great. We have a question from Mana as well. Maybe some people are having a hard time filing online. If there's a phone number or website, we know that there was we talked a little bit about the issues with just the influx on servers. What would be your recommendation for those who may be having trouble online,
Sure.
or where they should head to?
So first of all, Mana, I apologize that if it caused you any frustration, but there are two phone numbers that I can give you. The first one is for appointments, and you can call this number. We can help you over the phone. It's 833-901-2252. Now, if you're using your account and you forget your password, please call 833-901-2272, and that line can help you with resetting your password and answer questions about your account.
And we will put these phone numbers and these resources in the show description when the broadcast is over. So for those of you who are searching frantically for a pen, don't worry, we will get that to you. Also, once the broadcast is finished, you can go back, rewind this clip, and watch just that section to get that.
Is that the number?
Oh, there you go. Oh, look at Ryan. He's on
correct?
it. He's so on it. Okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
that's good.
Okay. There we go. That's the number for
Heidi just has a comment here. Heidi John Wright says, I've been trying for 2 days to file online. I think that there are a lot of people who are feeling frustrated. How do we, what kind of encouragement do you give them? And is it just a matter of just keep trying, or what would you say to someone like Heidi and others in her circumstance?
I think there are two ways that you can file for an initial claim, Heidi. And again, I apologize if it's caused you any frustration, but you can file a web form, and you can get to that at HUI claims, that's plural, 2020.hawaii.gov. Both that site will take you to two things. One is the portal that is our standard application process, which you can do that online, or you can fill out the web form. If you fill out the web form, what will happen is it'll send you a note saying, congratulations, you successfully submitted your filing for unemployment, but you will not immediately get a confirmation number. That confirmation number will come a few days later when we ingest that data into the mainframe. If you go through our standard way and you get through, it'll shortly thereafter send you that confirmation email. So you can do either way, Heidi. I would ask that you just do one of the two. And the reason is we've had situations where people have been filing multiple claims, and what it does is when we ingest the data, first we have to scrub it, which takes a little bit longer, and then we have to ingest it into the mainframe. And we do that, it can cause the system to bend. So I would suggest that you file one, and then I appreciate your patience with us.
I gotta ask,
Heidi's
and Heidi's saying that she says thank you. And Roberta writes there, I filed in the evening, it was less than 30 minutes. So this is a very good question from Finley Joanne. What about those people who were already unemployed when this happened and have exhausted their minimum unemployment?
So they should file. They definitely should file. Anybody who is out of work should file. So if they've exhausted their benefits, they should file again.
Okay. So when does the system sort of reset? Because at some point you do reach a maximum benefit.
So it would be after the 39 week or after the person gets reemployed.
Okay.
Another question we wanted to ask is if you can speak on a little about the small business aspect of it and businesses that are looking for support during this time. We know that there are certain provisions in this CARES Act that is coming down from the federal level. If you can speak to a little bit about what small businesses can do to get assistance during this time.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm going to first off kind of put a caveat on that because I'm not the expert in that aspect of the CARES Act. And but I will tell you that there is, from what I understand, there is a provision in the CARES Act that provides loans through the Small Business Administration, and it does provide relief for businesses that are maintaining their employees during this time. And that is probably the best way to go. And the reason for that is that following the Great Recession and other economic downturns, we have seen some long-term impacts of this type of a hit to the economy. Some of those things include reductions in the labor force participation rate, but also we see the other forms of unemployment measures are impacted as well. So there's a U6 measure that measures long-term unemployed individuals. Those numbers seem to go up, and they take a longer time. The concern is that those numbers take a longer time coming down. So if at all possible, I would encourage people to look into those SBA loans. Again, I'm not the expert on it. I do know that they're available. So I would encourage people to contact the Small Business Administration or their local bank and try to find out a little bit more about it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to pose this question to you from Desiree. And again, we're trying to get to as many of these as possible. What if someone was laid off but received a severance package? Can they still file for unemployment?
Yes, I believe so. And at that point, they should still file. Really, what we look at, I guess, in a nutshell, is whether or not somebody is no longer getting paid. That's really the best barometer of whether or not you should be filing. And at that point, I would encourage people to file. So even though they got the severance package, if anything, I would imagine, and again, I don't want to say anything that I promise, but it might delay or make payment a little bit later because of the rate of pay that they got during a particular week. But following that period, they're not going to be getting any income. So that's when the UI benefit would begin. So I would really encourage them to file.
Okay, what about that one from Janelle, Ryan?
Yeah.
How long do you need to be working to be able to get unemployment benefits?
So Janelle, we normally do a 18-month check back. So when you file, you need to list all your employer information and the dates of employment for the past 18 months. And that'll help us with processing your claim.
Okay.
And again, if they weren't necessarily employed, let's say maybe they were only employed for 5 months and then this happened, your recommendation is still, though, to apply.
Yes. And here's part of the challenge with what happens with unemployment insurance. I explained to you a little earlier that it's a federal program and that there are federal compliance requirements that we have. And so when we do a claims analysis, we do our very best to get the maximum benefit that the individual is entitled to under the federal and state guide laws that we have and that we abide by. But it does take a lot of fiscal due diligence. We need to go back. We need to check the individual's work history. We have tried to, as much as possible, streamline that process during this challenging time to make it easier for ourselves to get money into the hands of our claimants. But please understand, it is a process that we have to be very diligent about.
I'm wondering, you're talking about tens of thousands of claims coming in, but then the process that you described sounds like there actually has to be a person as opposed to a simple computer algorithm. How many people do you have on your team fielding these tens of thousands of claims?
At the ending of February, we had 7 staff members servicing the claims office. So what we did was clearly that wasn't going to be enough. So we've done an internal reallocation of staff within DLIR. So we pulled from our wage standards division, our disabilities compensation division. We pulled from our workforce development division, and we have been able to now get 45 staff working in claims processing. So, or receiving of claims and answering questions. But we do see this big surge of claims adjustments coming in. So we are working to hire more people. We have jobs available on our website for both unemployment insurance ass- assistance, and then we are coming out with some for unemployment insurance specialists that actually help us with the claims. But basically, what we're doing now is we're moving our staff into the next phase where we're taking our call center that we built on let's see, I think it was, what was that, Monday the 23rd. We're taking that call center and trying to relocate it outside of our office. And what we're looking at, thanks to the help of the Voice Technology Development Corporation, is putting it into the entrepreneur sandbox. So our call center will be located off of our facility. We're going to convert our call center into a claims management center and a claims processing operation center so that we get more people processing claims. So we are now looking at working with volunteers to man the call center. We are looking at getting assistance from other departments, and I will have to tell you that you know, I, we really were in a dire position, and what saved us is all of the employees kind of stepping up and um, you know agreeing to do a lot of work. These were people who initially were not deemed essential and were at home, and as soon as we called them, they came back to serve. So we wouldn't be able to do it without the staff.
Jana has a great question here. We know that many people in Hawaii work multiple jobs. So can you apply for unemployment for a second job if you're still employed by the first?
Yes, yes. If they've had some kind of reduction on hours, they should be applying for unemployment insurance.
Okay.
Okay. Well, again, we thank you. We know that there is a lot of questions still that are coming in, and we are going to reference everyone back to that hotline and to your website. Any final thoughts that you want to share just generally, and what message you have for people who, I know we couldn't get to everyone's questions, but maybe just a general message for everybody that may still have questions out there.
So I do want to say thank you for being patient with us. I know we've had some challenges. Again, we've done I have to say, I think the staff have done a admirable job pulling everything together and getting it to work. I think um, we had staff working the phone lines and working the systems on Kuhio Day. We've been working every Saturday and Sunday up to this weekend, and even on Saturday we had the phone banks run. So none of that would be possible without the dedication of our staff, but also with the understanding and the compassion from the community. So I just wanted to say thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. And we know that we have a lot of questions here. Some of these questions were actually answered at the beginning of when you joined us. So we do want folks to go back and watch the whole program. And also know that we will have you on again, because I'm sure these questions will continue. For a lot of folks, this is very uncharted territory.
Yes, we understand.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Scott. Thanks.
Alrighty.
Aloha. And again, we do invite you to, because I see some of those questions there. There are some of that stuff was answered at the top of the broadcast. So please, when this is all finished, go back and do watch that again. Amazing to hear from him. Hawaii's unemployment rate, you saw it in the paper today, could soar to 25% before recovery begins. Just for some context, our unemployment rate in January was 2.7%. So to go from around 3% to 25% is staggering. And just for reference, during the Great Depression, the unemployment rate nationally was around 25%. So we are looking at that level of unemployment. Really difficult to see. And that reminds us all, we need to stay home so that this can be over as soon as possible. On that, let's look at those maps.
Yeah, I mean, and you just hear from him and talking about the number of people that they have working. You got to imagine they're working some long hours. So thankful to their team over there as we take a look at some of the maps that were just released that sort of lay out where some of these cases are locally.
Yeah, so inter-island quarantine, of course, starts Wednesday. The governor announced that yesterday. So if you are traveling from a neighbor island, they do ask that you self-quarantine. Part of that is to reduce community spread. This is Oahu on one side and all of the islands on the other, Maui County there, of course, encompassing Molokai. But you can see where the cases are, and the sort of hotter zone is urban Honolulu. That is not surprising. Because obviously that's the highest concentration of people. But remember that, just because you work in one area doesn't mean that you don't shop in another and, live somewhere else. So they really want people to limit their exposure. And part of that is that inter-island quarantine.
And another interesting fact is, of course, Oahu has just done much more testing than the neighbor islands have as well, with the drive-up testing that's happening almost every weekend now. So they're able to test a lot more people who are on the neighbor island, and know that they're still trying to get some of those systems that are set up here to happen on those neighbor islands. So maybe they may not necessarily have those numbers, those large volume numbers either, but a lot of it is due to the testing as well. And Dr. Sarah Park, the state's epidemiologist, also saying that sometimes when you look at these maps, you often think, okay, that's the area of concentration. It's very difficult to pinpoint that because people in the beginning were moving around a lot. So they may have gotten it, somewhere in the middle of the island, but live on the east side, and that's where they took. So it's very difficult to say and pinpoint this is the hot zone until there's a large cluster of people that have been sort of locked in that community that have sort of gotten it there.
Yeah, and the mayor did say yesterday when we spoke to him, and we invite you to go back and watch that program, he had a lot of good information, that he really wants to expand that drive-through testing to communities throughout Oahu so that, Ewa, Waimanalo, all these other places also have access to those tests. We don't want to leave you without good news, so we want to highlight our Hawaii hero of the day, and that is dentist Eric Muraoka of Kaizen Dental Center in downtown Honolulu. He has turned his lab into a factory for face shields that are needed by medical professionals combating COVID-19. He's made 500 so far, and he is giving them away free of charge. So we mahalo him. And if you've got a Hawaii hero of the day, please submit that in the comments. Let us know who we should recognize.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these businesses sort of diversify in order to meet the needs of the community. We're seeing logo designers making masks, as well as these types of masks, plastics companies that are also helping to make these shields. So it's really great to see the community stepping up and diversifying and finding different ways in which they can support. So yes, we want to continue to applaud all those people who are continuing to give back during this time.
We know a lot of you are parents who are, have kids at home. Tonight, the Honolulu Theater for Youth is launching a show on K5. It's at 7 o'clock. It's 30 minutes. They do wonderful plays that they bring to schools throughout the island or throughout the state, rather. They can't do that now. So they've launched a new program called The Highway. It's 30 minutes. It's, we see a lot of things for youth while they're trapped at home, but this is particular for Hawaii youth. So we really encourage you to watch this, The Highway, airing at 7 o'clock tonight on K5. Check out Honolulu Theater for Youth's website for more details.
That's right. And again, we want to also give you other resources that Queens has actually set up a call center for, those of you who may be asking, how do I get tested? If I am matching the symptoms to get tested. So we also want to include that number here on your screen so that you can call this hotline at Queens at 691-2619. You can give them a call there. This is, again, to help limit the influx of people maybe heading to Queens Hospital or any of the hospitals to maybe get tested. They want to be able to screen you, talk to you over the phone, answer maybe some of those questions. So a great resource, a medical resource for those of you who may be having questions about that.
Yeah, what's awesome about that is that's staffed by a nurse who can then write you a prescription to get a test. So if you feel like you might need a test, maybe you have a primary care doctor, that's who you should call first, but maybe you don't, or maybe you just want to talk to someone who's specializing in this COVID-19 treatment, call the Queens hotline. They've got someone staffed there. Tomorrow, well, first, let's talk about how to donate or volunteer. Ryan's going to tell us about coronavirushawaii.com.
Yeah, again, if you're looking for a way to give back, head on over to coronavirushawaii.com. We have ways where you can sign up and make a difference and impact the community. And also, again, great resources available on our website at thestaradvertiser.com. We actually have a specific section that is set up directly so that you can actually go back and look at old articles, or if you wanted to look at closures, there's a tab specifically made for this COVID-19 coverage that the Star Advertiser is doing a wonderful job at doing.
Yeah, those reporters are working very hard. And we've got a very special reporter coming on tomorrow, Andrea Fujii. She's actually from Manoa and still has family here in the islands. She lives in New York City. She's a correspondent for ABC News. New York is the epicenter of this outbreak, so we are going to hear about what it is like living there on the front lines from somebody with a deep connection to Hawaii. We invite you to join us back here tomorrow at 10 to hear from Andrea, and we'll be again sharing resources, Hawaii heroes, headlines, the count, and hearing from all of you. Let us know who you want to hear from next.
That's right. It should be a great show to hear from Andrea and just to kind of see what they're dealing with. Her husband is actually a ABC correspondent as well with Johnson on Good Morning America. So, they're seeing firsthand a lot of those things. So going to be great to talk to them. Again, we want to thank our sponsors, the Hawaii Executive Collaborative, to bring you this conversation, the group of business and civic leaders who have really allowed us to engage in this. We know that there are still a lot of questions coming in directed to our topic here today. And we will provide you the links and information in the notes and caption for this when this gets posted. So I encourage you to come on back. It's great to also see the conversation that's not only happening between us and you, the viewers, but the viewers themselves. A lot of people now engaging and providing those links and providing those feedback. That's exactly what we want this to be, a platform and a forum where you can not only get information from us, but also maybe help those who have those same questions and are going through something that you're dealing with. So thank you for engaging with each other and for sharing the resources and information that maybe we were unable to get to today.
Yeah, and to that end, please share this video, like this video, make sure that anybody that you know who may be losing a job or losing work, cutting back hours, or is one of those gig workers gets to hear from Scott directly, because that is a really great opportunity.
So we'll see you here tomorrow again at 10 a.m. on the Honolulu Star Advertiser Facebook page. Until then, stay home, stay safe.
Aloha.